Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hello.
Hello.
How are you all doing today?
Very good.
Good, good, good. A little bit cold? No? Warm?
Just a little.
Just a little bit? Okay, I think we need somebody to put up the heaters here a little bit. Everybody's feeling a little cold. It's okay, we'll get you warmed up with this great talk and warm discussions that we'll have today. So who here is understanding my English right now? Do you understand my English? Yes? Who can only understand Japanese? 日本語しかわからない人。Okay, it's okay, no worries. I can speak in English then. So, we have a very special guest today. But before introducing the guest, I'd like to know a little bit about you first. Who here right now is here in Toronto with a working holiday visa? Raise your hands. Okay. Good 50%. Who here is currently living? Permanent residence or Canadian citizen? Oh. Okay, that's good. So we got a good mix, I guess, of people. Who here with the holiday visa or any kind of visa leaving Canada or leaving Toronto in a couple of months? Less than half a year. Who here just came this year? Who here just came this year to Canada? So everybody's been here for a couple of months then. Okay, good then. So, enough of that. 40 years. Who's here for 40 years? 40 years. Okay, that's great. Let's keep it going. You know, that's a great inspiration for everybody. You know, you have to try to stay here as long as you can, get involved in this culture, this great country. But enough about me. We have two special guests today. I'd like to have them introduce themselves. So, first, Ms. Joya Haywood. Ms. Would you please introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everybody. Very nice to meet everybody. I see a few familiar faces out there. My name is Joy Haywood, and I work for Pasona, Canada, here in Toronto. I started with Pasona when we opened the office about 22 years ago. Prior to that, I had lived in Japan, so I hope to be able to give you a little bit of background on my experience in Japan and my experience coming back to work for Pasona.
And next we have Mr. Takashi Itoh.
どうも、EXILE のヒロです。My name is Takashi Itoh, and I came in Canada in 1987. I was maybe first the working holder visa, and then I had the 20 years for having it's called MTBEAUTY Company Limited. It's manufactures the Diva knit product, and it's that.
Okay,
yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, you'll get to start understanding and get to know more about these two as we go along with the course of this seminar today. So today, we'd like for you to, get to understand their background, how, what gave them their first mindset to coming abroad, come to Canada, and experience being outside of Japan, and the other side, going away from Japan or Canada and experiencing a different culture. The cultural barriers, different difficulties that they had, which relate to exactly where you're standing right now. Because I think everybody here has had a little bit of difficulties coming and staying in Canada at the moment. So starting off, I'd like to ask each of you, what motivated you to come abroad? Go abroad. Joy-san.
I had been, after I graduated from university, I had worked for a small company for about 5 years. And it was a great company, it was a lot of fun, made lots of great friends, which is really important, I think, in your first job. But I was starting to see, a lot of my friends were staying in those kind of boring jobs, and other people I was seeing were doing much more interesting things, and I thought, this is the time in my life where I need to make a decision one way or another. So I started to look in the want ads for a new position. Actually, I forgot to bring it. I've actually got the original advertisement that I saw in the Toronto Star newspaper. this was before the internet, so when you were looking for a job, you had to look in the Toronto Star newspaper. And I saw this small little ad that said, teach in Japan, and I thought, wow, that's going to fulfill my need to travel and do something different and get some international work experience as well. And I'd grown up in a house that, my parents had traveled quite a bit, and they were very big into history, so there were always, history books around the house. And at that particular time, my mom was, she kind of had a fascination with Asia and China in particular. So I kind of had that trigger. So when I saw that job ad, I thought, that's what I want to do. And I really went for it and applied for the job. And within, I guess, a month or two of interviewing through Japan Communications here in Toronto, I ended up in Kakogawa.
Thank you, Itoh-san. Itoh-san.
Hi. When I was like 22 years old, and my lifestyle was I had a job working for the cosmetic companies, and I working during the day, and every week I have 2 days off, Saturday and Sunday. And every Sunday, my hobby is surfing, so I used to go surfing every weekend. And Friday night, like after work, I go club, when we call disco. Every night, Friday night, I go disco, and Saturday night, go beach, and Sunday, I go surfing. Then it was 22 years old, when after the club, I'm having a coffee with friend at Roppongi in a cafe. Then I thought, what I'm doing here? I don't have any skill. So then I thought, I have to change my life. I can't do like this. I can't continue like this. Then I thought, I want to go out to Japan. I want to find something. So then I told my friend, and then I said, oh, I want to go out to Japan. Then we talking friends, and then we said, okay, let's go Hawaii, because I'm doing surfing. So let's go Hawaii and go surfing. Then we decide with next day. Now I told like about 10 to 12 people when go surfing. I said, oh, I'm going out. I'm going Hawaii. So then I said, if you want to go, then okay, let's go. I decided date. Okay, April 1st. End of the March. We gotta quit the job, make money. We go Hawaii. Then end of the March, and myself and only another friend quit job. They made money. Then April, we went to Hawaii with my friend. Then it was my first trip. It was Hawaii, and it was shocked. It's so beautiful and nice beach, and so it's very like it's a culture shock for me, like so different than compared to Japan. Then after 3 weeks, we went to the public forum, and we get a lot of calls. Then we call other friends, and then we explain about how beautiful is Hawaii. So come to Hawaii. Then I said to my friend, don't ask anything. Just get the ticket, quit the job, then come. Then my friend, a week later, my friend come to Hawaii, then joined us. Then we decided, okay, whatever we brought money, spend everything. We want to stay as long as possible. Then we stay 3 months. Then we made friends, but when I couldn't speak any English, so I couldn't tell anything, or I couldn't explain to my friend what is Japan, I really frustrate myself. Then after 3 months, before leaving Hawaii, I said to myself, okay, I'll be back again. Then I back to Japan. Then I told my friend, now like 10 to 11 people there. Then we explained about how beautiful was Hawaii. Then we decided, oh, let's go again. Then again, we decide the date. So now, end of the May, we make the money. If you want to come, make the money, quick jump, then go. Then now, 8 people joined me. So now we went to Los Angeles and Mexico, and then went back to Hawaii. Then, when we went to Los Angeles, there was completely different countries. Like, if you don't speak any English, you can't do anything. It's very difficult to live or difficult to travel. Then I thought, oh, for the future, oh, I have to speak English. We have to learn English. That is, I decided to learn more English. That is my experience for the. That's why I'm here.
Well, that's quite the experience.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, it's something that is a good motivation, I guess, from there. You know, being able to being involved in that surrounding with the English. So I guess speaking for English for Itoh-san and speaking Japanese, Joy-san, like what was the most like different cultural difficulties that you came across? I know because, you know, growing up in Canada for me as well is quite different from the Western style Japan. So, Joyce.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't your typical applicant for applying for a job in Japan. I had never studied Japanese. I'd never studied, you know, Asian studies in university or anything like that. I'd only eaten Japanese food in Toronto once at a beautiful restaurant in Yorkville, and I didn't like it. So I knew that I was in for a little bit of a challenge. And actually, before I went to Japan, I remember making white rice every day and forcing myself to eat white rice just to make sure I So when I got to Japan, obviously major culture shock. I mean, it was a great experience when I first got there. That was one of my first memories. Is we were put up in a hotel in Takashi, just outside of Kobe, and just, you know, going out in the morning and seeing where I was. It was just amazing. And you know, somebody would bring me a little rice bowl at 2 o'clock in the morning because of jet lag, and you know, it was wonderful. But you know, then there are, of course, other challenges. I didn't speak much Japanese, so I mean, I think there's 2 main components. Probably one is similar to anybody who's going to a new country. You're going to have language issues, and then there was the other things that maybe just were me. I mean, I actually had trouble remembering what was challenging to me in Japan because it was so long ago, and I still travel to Japan pretty regularly, so it all seems normal now. So to refresh myself for this interview, I went back and I had letters that I had written to my sisters and friends, and I said, can I see those letters to see where my mind was at that time? And I complained a lot about you know, clothes. Of course, I'm tall, so I could never find clothes big enough. And food. I got over not liking Japanese food. Of course, I quickly learned to like Japanese food, but I still, you know, missed peanut butter and, you know, all the standard things. And so I was always asking my mother to send me, you know, packages of spicy sauces and things so that I could, you know, make my usual dishes.
Joyce-san, I heard something about manju. You didn't like manju or something?
Well, I didn't like manju, and my Japanese wasn't very good, so when they asked if I wanted it, I would just say, hi. And so eventually I learned to like manju because they kept bringing it to me because I kept saying I liked it.
Does everybody know what manju is? Yes? The small Japanese sweets? Okay.
And on the, you know, I guess the cultural side, I guess the other thing is, because this was before the internet, just imagine if I asked you all to, you know, put away your phones for the next 2 years. No access to news, because there was no English, especially where I was, there was no English newspaper, no English TV, so I was completely cut off from that, and no access to, you know, our friends. And there was about 20 staff that were hired with me, but we were spread out all over the city, or sorry, over the country. So we couldn't even communicate with each other because there was I remember the offices had to send out a memo saying foreign staff are not allowed to call long distance, because we were calling each other in the different cities out of, I guess, loneliness. So we were really cut off that way. And, to call home was very expensive, so really just relied on letters. And I didn't remember writing that many letters, but when I opened up my file in the basement, there were a lot of letters there, so I guess we did communicate by mail. And I think maybe the more common thing that everybody who moves to a new country would experience is just the cultural differences. Even if the language, once you get hold of the language, there's still always going to be cultural differences. And I did notice that in the school that I was teaching at. There were Japanese staff that spoke English, that were part of the English department, and they were great, really helpful. And the Juku that I worked for was kind of a joint venture, so there was an American English component combined with the Juku, Japanese Juku. So anybody who was associated with the English language school, they were very comfortable. Most of them had lived overseas. So it was very easy to communicate. Even if we had a language problem, there was just a general, more comfort level. Whereas there were some Japanese staff in my school that even a year later, we just could not connect. Like there was some kind of a cultural barrier there that I was that, we were discussing this before, I was the foreigner that when I'm walking down the street, everybody would be like, we were afraid of her. And I kind of felt that way even after a year. There were some people that just were not comfortable having a foreigner in the office. And even within the city, there was lots of activities that we could have been involved in, but there were some, like I remember trying to take a calligraphy class, but they didn't want foreigners there. And they wanted them there, but it was just too much, to have to adjust the program for the foreigners coming in. So I mean, but it's more my fault than anybody's, because I didn't learn my Japanese enough. So, but overall the experience was really good, and those challenges and frustrations, I think I learned a lot from them. I'm sure I'm a lot more open-minded and accepting of different types of people because of the experience, and I'm sure all of you will be in the same situation. Just by coming to Canada, you've opened up your network and expanded your horizons. So it was a good experience for me, and I'm sure it'll be a good experience for you as well.
Thank you, Joy-san. Itoh-san.
Hi. Culture, difficulty for the cultures was basically the manners. Like the Western manner is completely different for like a Japanese or Asian, especially for when at the restaurant. The Japanese example, if we eating noodle, we making a noise. But if in Western world, everybody eat very quiet, so it doesn't make a noise. Like when at the Italian restaurant, what we used to have, like when we eat noodle, like make a noise. Like when we make a spaghetti, like the other customer looking at, what is this guy? Like, where are they coming from? Like that way they're looking at it. So basically the manner is very different for the Japanese and Western. Also when in Canada, when they getting into the somewhere, all the people holding a door for the next person. But in Japan, we don't have that, like, we do that, yeah. So once I went back to Japan, at some department store, I opened the door, then people doesn't stop, like people keep going into the end. So I'm like almost holding almost 1 minute. Like, wow, like people doesn't stop.
They thought you were the door.
Yeah, they look like I'm a doorman. The way they look at it. So that is very the first thing I thought different culture difference. So the next thing the language or the difficulty for basically the here when they listen the English is very difficult for the Japanese, especially even like we hear English when I can Canada, like people all different the people. Example, like Canadians speak English is one thing. Also, Indians speak English. Chinese, all different cultures, they speak same word, but it's a different pronunciation. So still, I have a very difficulty for to listen for some of the people speak English. So that is the most difficulty to understand for the language. Yeah. That's very hard. Still, it's very hard. Yeah.
And I guess like now you mentioned now we have the internet, but when you were there, no internet. So here we're very fortunate. Anytime we have something that we don't understand, we can Google it or search it and look at it. But in your times, you had no way of kind of finding easy access to learning about the culture or when we came across difficulties, right? Yeah. So we're very fortunate, everybody, right now. So within your stay, how did you plan any goals for the time being? Did you only decide to stay for 1 year and I'm just going to stay for 1 year and then I'm going to go back, or did you have in that 1 year I have a certain goal, I want to achieve this? Did you have that goal and how did you achieve it? Were there any ways that motivated you in achieving that, Joy-san?
My goal really was just to get international experience and really to travel. I think, before the experience part of it, the work experience, I really was ready for travel and I thought, well, this is a great opportunity for me to travel. So it was kind of a selfish reason really that I wanted to get the travel bug out of me. So yeah, I mean, my goal was really to do travel and to get international experience that I might be able to use when I came back to Japan. And in my case, I was, if you compare my experience to JET program, most of the JETs are, younger, just after university or a couple of years after university. I had already worked for 5 years, so in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, I'm 28 or 29, I have to go back, I have to get back to work. So, I think in a way that kind of held me back. I probably would have traveled a lot more had I been a little bit younger, but in the back of my mind, I just kept thinking, this is just a temporary, fun experience, and so I mean that was my goal, and I achieved that, I guess. Yeah.
With your like a goal for achieving like the international experience, that was just like in general, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meeting people there and. Yeah. Being able to experience the culture? Yeah, and
again, in my house, everybody had gone off somewhere and done something, so it was very natural that at some point in my youth, I was gonna go and do something too.
Thank you. What about you, Itoh-san?
It's almost same like a Joy-san. Like I want to have experience for the outside of Japan, and also I decided to stay just 1 year, but I couldn't speak enough English. I couldn't. It's impossible to learn 1 year. So, but I was working a Japanese gift shop in Niagara Falls. Then my customers are Japanese. So during work, I only speak Japanese. So I can't learn English. Then the owner has another gift shop in the hotel. So that is my school. Like when I work in a gift hotel in the gift shop, always I talk to the staff of the hotel or next door the gift shop, the salesperson, the all Canadian. So always I go them to talk. I learn English. Otherwise, I didn't have time, or I didn't have it. I couldn't learn English. Yeah.
So it's hard for you to kind of get that. Create that kind of atmosphere of just speaking English.
Yes.
Maybe right now we'll come across the pictures that first when you first went abroad, and maybe you can talk about that a little bit. First we have here Itoh-san. Maybe are you able to explain a little bit about this picture that we have here? your young surfing days?
Yes, that is the left was the picture was we went to the Hawaii the first trip, and those two is like when we used to have a party at the club, like a disco when before we come to Canada. So always we organize a party and then we call like 100 people and I think that type.
Which one of the tan three are you?
Right. Yeah.
Very nice. What about Joy-san? Let's see Joy-san. Oh, beautiful.
That's just graduation and family pictures. That's, yeah, I'm very big family and we spend a lot of time together. And they all said they were going to come over and not one of them came over.
So I guess looking through this past now, going abroad for Joy-san, you went to Japan and had this kind of international experience. And coming back, now how did your experience influence you to the current job that you're in right now?
Well, when I was in Japan, then I really started to gain an appreciation for Japan, and I was interested a little bit in Japanese business, but hard to do anything with that again in Japan because there was no internet, and my whole social circle in Japan were teachers. So I started to, while I was working for the Juku, there was an opportunity to work in the head office, so I jumped on that because right away I knew that was going to be, for me anyway, I'm not a teacher, so that I knew that experience was going to be more valuable for me. So I took that chance to work once a week in the head office where I was able to, do a little bit more coordination work and working with other team members. And I used that experience when I was starting to look for a job, so I took advantage of that little bit of extra experience.
And what offered you that chance to get the job that you're currently in?
Well, all that networking. It's all about networking. One of the guys that I worked with at head office, he was Canadian and his wife was Japanese, and we'd actually lived in the same mansion called Bambino, and I had done language exchange with his wife as well, so we became pretty good friends and had a working relationship too. And so when I said I was going back to Canada, he said, well, we have a friend who has works for a company in Osaka that's going to be relocating or setting up an office in Toronto. You should look her up. Thinking that, if it was somewhat related to the HR business. I didn't know exactly what it was, and so I made that connection just before leaving Japan. So, and that couple in Japan had been really, really helpful to me too. Whenever I, was struggling with my Japanese or any kind of living conditions in Kakogawa, they were always there to help me. So I thought, I wanted to offer that same kind of help to a new Japanese person who didn't speak hardly any English. So when she came to Canada, then I made sure that I looked her up and made that connection.
In the pictures behind you, is there anybody of significance?
Well, first picture, there's Wada-san right at the end.
Oh.
So this first picture is since I've come back to Japan. So Fumie and I have both worked for Pasona for a million years. And the junior summit camp, our Juku also did summer camps for kids, so that was really a fun experience. It was in a tiny little island south of Okayama, so I got the experience to be even more rural Japan and teaching. They actually had kids coming from all over the world for this camp, and it was a strictly English camp. And they had kids as young as 3 years old, which was crazy because they could barely speak Japanese, and we were trying to teach them how to speak English, and they would be crying every night. But that was a very fun experience. And that's my school group. That was one of my favorite classes, the older Japanese girls, so their language ability was, they already knew some English and they felt comfortable being in a group. And it's really too bad that there wasn't internet, because I would love to connect with, some of those girls would be in their 40s now. I would love to connect with them again, but I got lost touch with them. And I'm sure I can't quite remember, but it was an amusement park, one of these, crazy things you do in Japan.
Okay, great, thank you, Joy-san. Itoh-san, what about you? How did you come about finding the job that you're in?
My friend was the Furyu. The Furyu means Kegawa Shokunin, and he's the he always showed me how to make a fur coat, and I'm seeing every day the fur garment. And when I sing every day now, I'm getting interested in it. So one day he showed me one of the products. It's called beaver knit. It's like they making a yarn and they knit it. So it's very unique product. And I saw first time was like a shock, so beautiful, and the fabric and textures so it's warm and light and so good product. Then right away I thought, oh, it's going to be in fur business. This is going to be main item for the in fur business. So then we start together with him at his parents' basement, and we make one garment. Then I brought to the Japanese gift shop. Then he sold the garment. Then I collect money. Then I went to buy beaver skin. Then I making again. Then again I bring it. So the Japanese a jitensha sogyo, bring it, sell, the way I start the business. So that is how I start the business.
It's quite the big change from doing surfing.
Yes.
But I guess the common thing, beaver, they're always in the water.
Yeah.
Good. So, I guess finding that key person, I guess, is very important. Being able to have that opportunity to get into that position that you're in. There's always an inspirational person that you come across. And Joy-san, so you for yourself, when they were opening the Pasona Canada, you met your significant person that offered you the position to get into it. Itoh-san, you found the tradesman, craftsman, for using the furs, and that got you interested in the business. Now, from here, is that something that you really enjoy doing? Did you find out at the end after doing it? I'm really enjoying this. But I guess it's hard for a person to really find that time. Am I really enjoying this? Is this something that's right for me? What are your thoughts on the position that you're in right now?
I think when I took the job with Pasona back in 1992, I was very happy to have a job with a Japanese company, and I knew that it was pretty much the first agency in Canada that was doing that kind of business on a large scale. And so, I felt like maybe I won't work for Pasona forever, but all their clients are Japanese companies, so surely I will be able to find a job with a Japanese company. But once I started doing the business that Pasona does with the recruiting and placement business, I just really loved it, and I just thought this was the perfect mix for me, because there's a business component to it, but I really like the person connection side, that I was always meeting people that had done something similar to myself, with a lot of the jets coming through our doors, and obviously lots of new immigrants and working holiday people that were coming through. So I've never lost the Japan connection, so it couldn't have been a better match for me. I was extremely happy and very lucky to have that opportunity.
What about yourself, Itoh-san?
So my key person was my partner, which was originally my friend. He's becoming my partner. So he's my key person.
Is this the person?
No, oh yeah, him, yes. He's my partner. So now we start together with to produce the B1 product. And now I'm doing like more remodel or recycle from the old fur garment. So that becoming very fun for me. So the people almost throw away for the fur garment, but it's becoming very like a fashionable piece, and customers very happy. It's very enjoy for the when you see my work. So always I hear from my client like the customer was very happy. So then I'm getting happy too. That's why that is my energy to continue my business.
Getting the feedback from the customers creates the energy.
Yes.
Thank you. So right now, out of the audience, who here before coming to Toronto had a job, quit, and came? Who had a job before? Okay. So with that, quitting your job, like Joy-san, you were working previously, and then going abroad, and then coming back. What are kind of like the difficulties that you would feel going back to that company, or any new inspiration that you would probably want when you were abroad?
In my case, it was pretty positive because I was bringing a new skill. If I had just traveled, done a travel time, a year traveling without any work experience, I wouldn't have gained anything. I would have come back and I wouldn't have had any more experience. So with the experience in Japan, even though it wasn't, a very, high-skilled position, it still gave me international work experience. And so I think it was easier for me to go back into the workforce at that time. I don't think I would have had that many opportunities if I didn't have the work experience, the international work experience, for what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want just a job.
I see. Itoh-san, it's quite the big, like we say in Japanese, yuki, confidence, that you need to start a business, outside. What gave you that inspiration or motivation? Like you were in Japan,
Yes.
And what kind of a business were you in? Different type of a business when you were in Japan?
Yeah.
And that switch, I guess, coming to Canada and now running a beaver fur company. How is that? How do you find that to change?
The change.
どういうふうにこの違いを感じますか？何かこう昔やってたこと、昔やってたことについてこう今振り返ってみるとこう気持ちは変わりましたか？Good question. This is off the top of the head, so something that was unexpected, but
yeah, it's a very difficult question.
It's okay. We'll come to that again.
Yeah.
Right now, we've gone through a couple of their experiences going abroad and coming back, and starting a new life, new experience from what you've already experienced abroad. I think everybody here as well, coming to Toronto. What would you say? You can just shout out or raise your hand. What would you say is the most kind of awkward or this is really weird in Toronto? You do this kind of thing. Who has some kind of neat experience that they've had when they first came here? Something that you were expecting Canada should be like this before coming. When I come here, wow, it's so different. I thought before coming to Canada, I thought everybody was going to be wearing fur coats because it's very cold living in an igloo. But you come to Canada, oh, it's actually pretty nice, it's warm, something like that. Anybody? Very shy. Okay. What about, let's see, language? Who here studied English before coming to Canada? What? Nobody? And you can understand all this English already? You guys must be smart. Come on, show of hands, don't be shy. Who was taking 語学学校, 英語学校, or learning English in Japan? In Japan, no? Everybody started learning when you came to Canada? Raise your hands. Who started learning English when they came to Canada? Okay, we have a couple there. Okay. I have a couple of questions that were from the audience. For example, right now, there's a question. I'm gonna call upon this person because everybody's a little bit shy. Yoshikawa Emitsumo. Is she here today?
Yeah.
Yes? Oh, sorry. Wrong question. Not this one. I'll come to you again later. Here we go. Sasaki Yukari. Yukari Sasaki. Yes. You had a question with regards to like Japanese, going to a 語学学校, going to an English school.
自分で勉強、語学学校とかは行ってないんですけど、ここでですか？
はいはい、ここで。
中華を行ったばっかり
You
です。
just
それ始めました。
you just got a tutor. Oh, nice. And you're starting to learn English now. How is that coming along? Pretty hard?
楽しいです。
Tanoshi. Oh, that's good. That's good. It's important to enjoy when you're learning a new language. So, in your question though, you mentioned like going to school. How good is it going to school to learn about the language, like grammar, how to write, or instead of going to school, I'm just going to make more friends and speak. That way, I think I might learn more English. You had a question like that. Did you? Now, do you know which one do you feel is more better for you? Do you prefer maybe going to school and learning the language, or making more friends, spending more time with different volunteer groups or clubs?
私の意見ですけど、文法とかは自分で勉強して、で学校でスピーキングクラスを取っている時間の代わりに友達を作って、どっか行ったり、チューターさんと個人的に会話の練習するのが一番かな。
So, learning the grammar and the reading and writing skills, you can learn on your own, but you enjoy also when it comes to language, making friends and going out to learn and getting involved in that atmosphere for learning English. Well, Joy-san, Itoh-san, for yourselves, when it came to like learning about the language, how did you come across trying to learn or get the experience? Maybe Itoh-san? How did you learn English for yourself?
I learned myself, and I'm trying not to be with Japanese people. So that is and also you have to make friends. You have to make a situation to use more English. Yeah, that is the answer.
Yeah. Who here is currently working? Okay, working. Are you working in a Japanese environment? Yes? Is that helping you with your English? Maybe. You have time going outside? Who here is going to clubs and trying to find your own private time to experience the nightlife or the Canadian culture? Who here is going to clubs at night? I know, it should be all half of everyone right? Raising your hands. Arms are just a little short today, right? Lastly, like you came across all these experiences that you've had throughout the years. What is your motto now? What would you say your motto is that you can share with everybody for them to kind of get an inspiration? Joy-san.
Okay. Well, I think I wrote this down, so this better be my motto. Be open-minded and learn from every experience. But what I really mean about that is to just, I think it's important to push yourself a little bit beyond your comfort level. So take a little bit of a risk, nothing too dramatic, but just, take advantage of what Canada has to offer. And like we've mentioned before, it's not just Canadians. You have the opportunity to meet people from every nationality in Canada. So I would be, as open to that as possible, because when you go back to Japan, that experience is going to be really valuable to you. So take a risk, little risk.
Itoh-san.
This is like just for the isshokenmei. This is the do your best. Even any small things, you have to do your best. But also, if you do your best, you will learn from what you're doing. If you're doing if you don't do your best, you don't learn from what you're doing. So this is my base. If you try to do something, do your best. And also, I like to see if people doing their best. Even like sports players, all kinds of my staff, or when they're doing their best, I'm happy to see it. So that is my base of my life.
Yes, thank you. 一生懸命. Always do your best. I think that's something that we always have to keep in mind. But sometimes, we tend to ease off a little bit. I'm always trying my best, but sometimes we come across, there's a party over there, we might do that, we might go there, but it's always trying to be focused. It's always important. And I think 一生懸命 gives us a very good, strong motivation. Here, I'd like to open the floor a little bit to a lot of people here today gathered to ask questions. Any concerns, things that you had in mind? Now is the opportunity to be able to hear, from Itoh-san and Joy-san from their experiences that will hopefully motivate you in your current stay and working and traveling in Canada and elsewhere. So I open the floor to everybody. If there's a couple of questions that you have, please don't be shy. This is not the place to be shy. Okay? Maybe laugh a little bit right now. Everybody, 深呼吸. Ready? One more time. Okay. So, raise your hand. Anybody have a question right now? Anything off the top of your head? Anything? Yes, go ahead.
As Joy-san said, people should push yourself to a situation that you're comfortable with. But sometimes I face the difficulties and I hesitate to try. So what kind of mindset you guys have when you face difficulties?
I think just to take break the difficulty down and do one part of it and say, okay, I managed to do that, I can move on to the next thing, or that didn't work, what can I learn from that? And just keep trying, try it a different way. So just, and it's okay to make mistakes, you're all young, this is the time for you to try new things, and even for an employment situation, you can ask questions, and when you're in Canada and some new thing comes up, don't be afraid to ask people. I think, you know, Canada and certainly in the Japanese Canadian community, people really want to help you make the most of your experience. So they'll be honored to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. I have a list of questions from the audience members. I'll be calling your names if I don't see anybody's hand. Anybody right now before I start calling out names? Let's see. We have a yes.
What was the hardest part of going abroad, and how did you overcome that difficulty?
海外へ出ることに対して一番難しかったこと、大変だったこと。
When I quit my job, that's was most difficult. Because especially in Japanese, when men, especially men, when they get a job, usually they working forever, like until retires. You know, still some part of this thinking about it, but it's when I was young, like it's everybody thinking same way. So if you once you get a job, you should continue to keep the job. That is very hard to quit to decide to quit the job.
I think when I made the decision to go, I knew I was going to be leaving my job anyway, so the job part wasn't a big deal. I really wanted to travel, so I almost didn't think it through enough. And I remember the first week in Japan was all fun and, you know, lots of activity and lots of, you know, the foreign staff, we were all together at that training camp. And so it was about 2 weeks into it, my first weekend by myself. I think I'd done a couple of days of teaching. And all of a sudden it was Sunday and I had nothing to do, and I had a similar comment. I remember thinking to myself, what have I done and how did I get here and what am I going to do now? And you know, I think that it was a day or two of that kind of panic. And on that particular weekend, I remember running into some other foreigners, and maybe they sensed that I, you know, wasn't feeling 100% settled, and they said, "Oh, we're going to Kobe. Let's, you know, why don't you come with us?" And I think that was the last time I had any regret being in Japan. You know, I mean, in the end, it was really a, do I stay and, you know, stay longer than I need to, or, you know, cut the ties and go back, because I felt like it was time to go back to Canada. So it's just, yeah, I mean, I think it's normal to feel homesick sometimes, and different people are going to experience it that at a different time during their time away.
Good question. Next. I've got a question from, yes, previously I called Yoshikawa Emitsuno. Yes.
Hi. I was working in the human resource department in Tokyo at a company, and I sometimes came across the women's program.
The which program?
Women's program.
Women's problem.
Okay.
Women's program. Okay. We had a lot of clever women or clever employees, but sometimes they had to quit job because they had to take care of child and or get married. It's a maybe all Japanese people know. It's a one kind of women's program. And what I think in Canada, many women can get maternity leave and can take care of children, and also husband can help wife. how different the Japanese culture and the Canadian culture?
Wow, that's a big question.
At least Michigan students.
And I think, yeah, it depends on each family. It's going to be very different. But yeah, I think the employment, infrastructure in Canada is very different. So it's set up to allow people to take the time off. They say culturally, Canada is still not at 50% equality. I'm sure that it's not, but it is, I think, way ahead of Japan. But I also hear Japan is leading in a better direction for women too. Like the Abenomics, that they need to encourage women to be a bigger part of the workforce. And even Pasona, for example, it got the award for being the most diverse company. So they're really pushing for more women to be in the workforce and more maternity leaves and that kind of situation. So I think it's still quite different in Canada from Japan, but I think both countries are leading in the right direction.
Thank you.
Quite difficult. I'm going to be calling names. Okay? We have from Itoh Toshiki. Yes, gentleman over there. Do you remember your question? No. Well, I have it right here. Why don't I read it for you then? What makes you motivated the most to be in Canada, which is less convenient than Japan? So like Canada, Japan is very convenient. I think this is the way you're asking. Like Japan is very convenient compared to Canada. What makes you motivated to stay and work in Canada?
It's difficult, but it's if you live in Canada, you feel like more free for your life. But if you live in Japan, or if you have relatives around you, so always like it's not to feel free for the work or for the lifestyle. Like always, like you have to do something for your relative. So, but if you live in Canada, you don't have any. Most people doesn't have a relative, so you feel more free to live. In you can spend your time for what you want. So that is really different. In Japan and Canada.
So I guess you can focus on yourself.
Yes, more.
Japan, you always have to worry about your neighbors, or
Yes.
within the work your environment as well.
Yeah.
You always have to be worried about your others.
For other people. Yeah.
Do you find that it sometimes holds you back, I guess, from your full potential?
Yeah, I think so.
Does that answer your question? Yes? Do you have another question that you'd like to ask? No? Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have from Shima Naoko. Yes, right over there. Do you remember your question? If you hire a new employee now, and there's some application form who is on working holiday or just after working holiday, what will you consider the most about them? So or applying for a job while you have the working holiday, I guess, experience. Does that consider you to look at that applicant a different way?
I guess for our purpose, I think it would just be a timing issue. If there's a limitation on the length of the visa, then some employers are not going to be able to hire somebody that's on a restricted visa. If it's a temporary job, then it shouldn't matter. I think Japanese companies, a lot of them are, if it's a temporary position, I think would like to give the opportunity to working holiday and give them the chance to get a bit of work experience. So it shouldn't be a negative. I think most people are understanding that working holiday doesn't have a lot of experience. So junior entry-level position, it could be good for both parties.
Itoh-san, what about your, I guess, when it comes to working holiday, what is your thoughts on this term? And people who are going abroad with the working holiday, do you consider them different from people who are going with work visa, for instance? What makes it, is there a difference you feel, working holiday to?
Yeah, so working holiday has basically have a limit of the time, so it's very difficult for myself. If we hire people, it's difficult to hire in working holidays. Because after example 1 year, they have to leave. If they have an ability or they have a skill, then I can try to get the working permit for them. But it's like if you hire the working holiday, for me it's a little bit difficult to hire for the working holiday visa now.
Did I answer your question? Hi, arigatou gozaimasu. Next, anybody off the top of your head? Any questions right now? Yes, gentleman at the back.
Did you guys get any immunization prior to your flights?
Sorry, could you?
Did you guys get any immunization or any vaccinations before going abroad?
Immunizations before going abroad?
I don't remember.
予防注射とか受けましたか？海外に出るときにそういうの？
I think I might have gotten something, but only not. It wasn't necessary for Japan
Not necessary for Japan
or Canada.
or Canada. I think I saw one hand over there in the back. Yes.
I'd like to ask a question to Itoh-san.
Yes.
I think starting business in different countries would be really difficult. And I think at the beginning you had many difficulties to keep doing business here. I'd like to ask how you motivated yourself or what motivated you most?
You have to believe what you're doing it. You know, it's like I believe myself. This when I start business, and we make a product. I thought this is going to be. How to explain for this? It's going to be a good business for me, or it's going to be will be better for the business. That is, I said myself, or I believe that. So yes, because we have many difficulty situation, or when we start selling the product. When I was very new in business, so everybody they don't believe or they don't trust me. So when we start these 2-3 years, it's very difficult to taking orders. Once, what is the product is talk. If product is good, it's naturally it's going to be to sell. So that's why I believe the product. So that was it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, in the back.
For those who are here on temporary working holiday visas but who wish to stay longer, do you have any advice on how that could be possible?
How to extend your visa?
Like to get a job or something like that, to stay here permanently?
Do you have any advice on that?
Well, every year it changes year by year, but it's pretty difficult. You know, if you have a specialized skill, an employer may be willing to try and get a work visa for you, but it is very difficult. And from our experience, the last year or so, it seems to be more difficult. But I get that changes with you know, immigration policies. I guess we have to just recommend that you talk to an immigration lawyer, and they would look at each person's situation and evaluate it independently.
I think I can there's everybody here coming here, most of you with working holiday visa, and you're trying to maybe find an opportunity to work here, but in this short amount of time. Now, Joy-san, your company offers an opportunity for everybody, even though they're going back, have an opportunity for you to be able to connect them to an international related company.
Right.
Do you mind maybe explaining a little bit about that?
Sure. I think traditionally a lot of working holiday had hesitated to register with Pasona because we can't, most of our work is for permanent positions. But our global office now is really promoting this, they call it U-turn. So they want to find those candidates that are, studying or working in Canada or the US and other countries, and help them, if they're ready to go back to Japan, then connect you with a job in Japan even before you leave Canada, so you don't have that gap. Or if you would rather work in Singapore or somewhere in Asia, where it's very easy to get a work visa, our global office can do the same thing, so refer you directly to a position in Singapore or Hong Kong. So it's a great opportunity if you're, you can't stay in Canada but you haven't gotten rid of the travel bug yet and you want to try something different or get more international work experience. That's a perfect way to do it. So if anybody is in that situation and wants to come and talk to us, then please, by all means, we can refer you directly back to Japan. And the other option, I guess, we were talking about earlier is, if you go back to Japan and then come as a student and get the 2-year student experience, and then you can get the postgraduate visa. And if that right now is 3 years long, so during that 3-year period, then you get a job, then you can apply for a permanent residence, and that allows you enough time to do that. So that's ideal if you can do that.
So it's still not too late for everybody. Even if you might have a couple of months left and still worried, okay, what should I do? What should I do? I'm just wasting my time. Then there's so many opportunities that are right in front of you. You just have to find it and find that right path. And today, everybody, this is one path that has been opened up for you as well. So this is one opportunity that you can take. Yes.
Hi, my name is Anish. I'm from On the Spot Language at ESL School. And I've noticed that some of these students come here for a life-changing experience. Like they're here to I'm a teacher back in Japan. I want to be a teacher in Toronto. I'm a physiotherapist in Japan. I want to be a physiotherapist here. Of course, it's so difficult without that specific certification if you don't have it here. And they're not going to go to school for 2 years. They can't afford it. They already have 10 years experience as a system engineer. One of my students I can't get a job here. So are there any specific, so my question being, are there any specific skills that are more transferable from Japan that they could be applied here? That you would know of, or that anybody in here that would know about that?
I mean, I guess the top one is going to be English. Then you can apply for so many more things. The simple thing is interpreting, and if your language level is at that level, then you try and get an interpreting position in the field that you're interested in, and then you can sort of work your way into it. And technical engineering positions, we always seem to have openings there. Finance and accounting, pretty standard areas. That's that's more on the business side of it. I can't speak to more artistic area.
I think that's quite a specialized field to be able to explain that. But today we have a very whole, I guess, a mix of people. If there's anybody in here who has any opinions to that as well, please feel free to say your opinion as well. This is an open discussion, so not only just us, you're also spotlights on you as well. Okay? Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else? Who's next? I have here, okay, this is interesting. We have from Tomoko and Shinichiro Nakajima. Yes? Do you remember your question? Pardon me? Yes. Question here is, the working holiday is usually 1 year, maybe extended for 2 years. And it goes by very quickly. So within that limited time, what do you suggest we do in that limited time, or things that you may suggest that we shouldn't do from your experience? Maybe Ito-san?
So what is the goal for the, what do you want to do during staying in Canada? Let's see, what?
Oh, you need to first know what your goal is?
Yes, first you have to have some goal during staying in Canada, otherwise you're just spending your time. So first you have to find what do you want it, or you have to find something what do you want it. So otherwise, but one thing is if you come to Canada or if you left countries, you will see a lot of different cultures. You see the culture, and also you see different peoples, and that is one kind of the experience. So when we talk about Joy-san before, if you live in Japan, you don't see many foreigners, not many see the gaijin. When you come to you, you're going to be scary, you can't talk. But if you live in Canada or if you left country, now you see, for example, Canadian or American, all different, you see many peoples. Now, once you have that experience, you're back to Japan. Now you feel not afraid. You're somebody you met, gaijin or foreigner, you can help you. Okay, can I help you? You can more easy to communicate it. So that is one kind of the good experience during staying in Canada.
Is there anything that you came across from your experience, if you're here working holiday, this you shouldn't do, kind of thing?
But if you want to learn English, you shouldn't with Japanese, or you have to make a situation or environment, you have to not to speak Japanese.
Yeah, that's quite difficult, I think, right? Because going to a different country, you feel lonely. Sometimes you want that help sometimes, and we always tend to rush off to people in your community. You try to find a group, especially a Japanese group, where you can discuss maybe your different situations. And I can relate to that as well, because when I just came back from Kyoto. I was in Kyoto for 3.5 years, coming back last 2002 October. I'm a Japanese Canadian, born here, raised here, and growing up as a Canadian. But I wanted to experience the Japanese culture by going to Japan and working there. But because the culture is so different, and I may be able to speak Japanese, but there's so many people that treat me as a regular Japanese, thinking that don't even understand that, I keep saying, I'm Canadian. No, 君日本人じゃん、日本語喋れるじゃん。いや、違う。カナダで生まれ育って、今こっちに勉強しに来たんです。I keep telling them that, but they say, 知らない。And so there's always that time where I always need to find that the group of people who I can discuss, I found a couple of Irish pubs, where a lot of foreigners would get together, so I talk with them, and we'll communicate, different issues and problems that we come across. So those times it's okay. I think it's a good way of supporting yourself and getting you an extra motivation. But constantly being in that, you have to find that way of not, relying on that only when you really have to. But other than that, try to be as much involved in that community, in that environment that you are, because it's only for that short moment of time. If you're always with Japanese, then it's no different from being in Japan and spending Japanese fun times with the Japanese, right? You're here in Canada in a new environment. Now is the only time for you to explore the world, explore Canada, be involved with the different foreigners, different Canadians. Canada is the one thing that's a good thing is that it's a mixed culture. we have Indians, I don't want to sound racist, but blacks, whites, and all different nationalities here. And we all have different ways of thinking, different ways of, I guess, manners and cultures. And through that, this is the only place that I feel we can enjoy and be immersed in this wonderful international society. And I think for me personally, you've chosen a very good place for you to get involved in that international, to gain that international experience. Yeah, so it's try to be always involved in that outside, that own original, I guess, environment of where you're situated. So I think that was a great question. Anybody right now have any questions right now? I have a couple more questions here, but before that, right now, after hearing this, we need to find opportunities. We say, what would you? Everybody, a little bit. I can feel a little bit. Everybody's a little bit shy. Now, to overcome that shyness and be able to find that opportunity to find a key person, what would you suggest to everybody here? How to overcome that kind of shyness and be able to find that opportunity for everybody?
Just by doing what you're doing tonight, coming out to events, meeting new people. If you're try and meet people that are in the field that you're interested in, whether that's business or education, medicine, whatever it is, make that contact. It makes it so much easier. Even if you don't end up having the opportunity to get work experience, you can do volunteer experience. That's going to help your job search down the road, and more, it'll just let you experience Canada in a whole different way if you have that one-on-one connection with lots of different people. I think, just to do your networking, I think is the most important thing. And again, with the internet, you'll be able to connect with those people 5 years down the road, regardless of where they are, regardless of where you are.
Thank you, Julie-san. Itoh-san, do you have any?
Yes, you have to join to the many club or society or event, or you have to join see many more people, and that is the next opportunity to find your job or to make a bigger communities. And I think you have to join more to see more people. It's not only doing the internet at home. You have to physically go out to see more people. That is it's more important to make a community.
So everybody's chosen the right decision today.
Yeah.
Well, and look at Emmy, what she's done with this whole program.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much work she's put into, and she has so many people involved in it. That's really, I'm sure, very interesting for her and really valuable.
I hate to put you on the spot, but is it okay if I call you up here and maybe, because Emmy, she has, she organized this whole event for us today. For you, fellow working holiday visa, students, to be able to experience, discuss about different difficulties and different opportunities that you might be able to come across. And so she's, called upon us to be able to have this panel discussion. So, being in the same shoe, I'd like to hear, your kind of opinion, or maybe a goal for everybody to how you kind of came across to building this special event for us.
I'm 30 years old and I came here as a working holiday holders. And before I came here, I'd like to change myself, change my life. But after I came here, my English is not good enough to do something. And I feel I'm busy because of ESL school or to meet Japanese friends. But I met Mr. Itoh or Joy-san, I noticed it's not true. Yes, my English is not enough, but I can do anything what I want. If like my more important thing is desire or what I want. So yes, then I want to share this feeling with everyone to come here. Then I'd like everyone to challenge something. If your English is not enough or you're busy, it's not important, I think. So yes, we organized this event. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah,
So I guess that brings us back to our title here, GENTEN, starting point. For you, everybody, this is one starting point for you. Taking off, leaving Japan to come here. That's a big starting point. I think that's the first biggest starting point for everybody here. To be able to have that courage to step out of your country and be able to come to a very foreign land and experience this culture. So I think I need to give a round of applause to everybody. You give yourselves a round of applause for everybody who's here, who's made that courage to step out. Okay, so I think time was very short, but yes, question.
Can I just make one comment about tonight? I think this is really an interesting occasion because I think we have teachers from many different schools. We've got people perhaps who work in companies that are listed in green pages, and we've got regular Canadians, and I myself teach for the Toronto School Board. I think this is the beginning of something in as much as if Japan Foundation or JCC invite all the companies that are in the green pages, hook up with all these people who come from Japan to Canada. Some of the people in this room want to stay here forever. They want to get a job. So they might get married, whatever. But I think if we have a meeting where we have name tags, kind of a meet and greet networking situation, if Joy's doing that kind of idea where all the companies in Toronto that have a Japanese connection meet up with all the Japanese students who come to Toronto every year to go to all these language schools, who are looking for a life-changing, thing in their life. I thought maybe this is the beginning of something that could be much bigger, where all the companies in Toronto, instead of looking at eMaple for a job, or, although that's not a bad place to look, eMaple, or what's that Japanese name? Bits, right. Okay, we're looking in there. I thought to myself, face-to-face contact with these representatives from each of these companies. And Japan Foundation carries a lot of weight. They send an email out to these companies, and they're likely to send somebody to this event. All the students come. All these young adults come, and everybody meets, and it's like it creates some synergy, where you've got the language schools, you've got the students, you've got working holiday people, you've got all the green pages people, you got bits people coming in, and it creates kind of a larger thing that probably wouldn't even be able to hold in this room. There'd be so many people here, and I just think this is the beginning, but it could grow to be a much larger thing if JCC, if Japan Foundation supports it, they lend their weight, which they have a lot in Toronto, and grow from this and create something even larger than just this being just the beginning. It's an idea, but I don't know.
Thank you very much. That was a very wonderful. I hope everyone was hearing that and listening. Yes. Sid.
I'd like to say a few words, as I'm very moved by all of these people coming from Japan to come to Canada. I'm a boy Canadian. Well, my grandfather and mother, they all come from Japan, and they made a life for all of us here. But I never heard of GENTEN until last night. We had a Monday night at a network meeting. GENTEN came to our meeting, and I thought, who are GENTEN? Because I didn't know who they were. And when I found out I was invited to come here as a guest today, and I'm so moved by the leaders and yourself. I never met you, but I just want to say I take my hat off to you. But I am so impressed with all of you, and I know this gentleman. I didn't even know he was born in Canadian until today. But I just want to say that I'm very impressed, and I think that you're on the right way to go. And it's a way to do. You people are the ones that build the future of the country. And you had the courage to come, and I'm just so impressed with you. And anything that we could do at the Japanese Canadian Culture Center, we too should do our best. And that's why when you came to the network, you opened the door to a whole bunch of Japanese people getting involved with the Culture Center, but with the Japanese community. They're all Japanese people that comes from Japan, and we all settled here. We're integrated. We're intermarried. You come to a wonderful country because we have one of the greatest multicultural country ever. And if anyone ever wants to know more about how we're involved with the Japanese group, because you got to remember this: Japanese, Canadians, and Canada in Toronto, GTA, they're less than 25,000 people. 90% intermarriage. So it's sukunai. And here we've got Chinese people, 600,000 Chinese people, 750,000 South Asian people, 300 Philippines, 125,000 Koreans, 80,000 Vietnamese people. But we Japanese Canadians have been here for 135 years, and we only have 25,000 here in GTA and Toronto. And across Canada, I don't think we even hit 90,000. But we carry a great culture, and it's so important. We carry the culture, and we need you to come here to live. We need you to grow and make Japan strong and Canada, because we need all countries to make Canada a strong country and a good relationship with Japan. And that's what we do our best. So I'm very moved by all of you today for coming, and I will do my best to help you. If you ever need help, feel free to call me. I'll do my best.
Great, thank you very much. So I hope everybody enjoyed tonight. Time was short, but I hope we were able to leave something inspiration, a new motivation for you to carry on, and strive for the best. Isshokenmei. And chase your possibilities.